entertaining her. And she entertains him as well. Like, they both have a very special friendship, I would say. Their bond is not like you'd feel like they're two friends, like either two adults or two toddlers, different at different moments in life. And he's like literally when he looks at Raha, it's like stars in his eyes. There's that. And of course, for any parent, but when I see it, because I've known Ranveer pre and I know him now, I see the difference. I see the difference in the way he is with people, as a father. He's just so sort of full. It's not like he was ever edgy or ever, he always had a very calm demeanor or anything, but there's a fullness which I've experienced firsthand and that I see on a daily basis. And it's actually really sweet and special to, watch their conversations. And very often I'm just like sneakily, videotaping a lot of their random moments and they don't even know I'm doing it. Eventually, I guess one of them looks at the camera and then I put it off. But it's just the beginning. But the beginning is just so unique and special, at least from where I'm sitting and from what I've seen. And just to watch your partner also manifest love in that way is very interesting.
Go on, what do you mean?
I mean, we have love for each other, right? I have love for Ranveer. Ranveer has love for me. I have love for Raha. Raha has love for me and Ranveer. And Ranveer has love for Raha. So you see different moments of love transpire differently in one house, under one roof. And it wasn't always like this, right? Like Raha's come into our life now. So the before and the after, although I don't remember much of it, like as I mentioned earlier. But moments and feelings and how we've watched sunsets together. But now when we're watching the sunset with her, it's a different feeling.
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful feeling.
Yeah.
It's very fulfilling.
Yeah. So sweet. You're making me feel like I've got so much to look forward to. So I'm like, yeah. No, I'm like, I always tell Radhi, I'm like, I want to be a girl dad so bad. Like,
yeah. And he really wanted to be a girl dad. Yeah, he really did. I'm doing this thing where I send Raha emails. I've been doing it since she's born, every month.
Oh.
And just like an amalgamation of like photos and videos and what happened and just thoughts and feelings.
Wow,
and
that's
it's
so
like,
cool.
Yeah, it's somebody said that this was somebody. So I was like, that's a great idea because it's like a live memory book. I don't have the discipline and the energy to actually fill out a physical memory book. So I thought this is like a digital way of doing it.
It's easier to search.
It's easier, yeah.
And
it's nice. Like when maybe she's 15, I'd give this to her and say, listen, this is all the memories that we collected for you over the years and go ahead and have some fun.
What a special gift. What kind of things have you put in there right now?
Just like photos, videos, thoughts, mainly just visuals of her with either like us, with either one of us or her grandparents or, her aunt or uncles and stuff like that. And just random moments, and like a little note that you did this today and, we had such a lovely trip here and something happened and just sharing.
Yeah.
Whatever I can. It's like within the moments, whatever comes out at that time. But yeah, so when I'm sneakily recording the two of them, it's and I sometimes when I review it and it's really very heartwarming to watch because that this is like something very special is just cooking. Like I remember in New York, we were speaking about this. And I remember my mom sent me a photo of like a baby walking down the street with like many bags. Like it was like a random, like a Pinterest image or something. And I discussed this with you and we said, we actually both agreed that we're actually all giant babies through our lives, at least for our parents.
Yeah.
Like no matter how old we become, we're still babies,
That's what they see.
That's what they see. And I see that now, I see that now when every time I would travel, my mom would say, okay, be careful before you cross the road, take care of your arms and legs.
Frustrated.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you say? What do you mean take care of your arms and legs? But I understand that now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a parent, but everything you're saying to me, even when I think about it for a second, I think I'd be exactly the same. I'm like that with my friends' kids. Like if my friends' children are over, and I remember friends. I can't remember what they were doing, something called adventure parenting or something. I can't remember. There's one of these parenting techniques. So we're sitting at one end of a living room. The kid is at the other end of the living room. And she's like just learned to walk, but she's like putting her hands through candles like this. And so I'm about to run over and like take their kid away from the candle. And they're like, no, she'll learn. And that was their parenting technique.
Okay.
And my heart was like, and it's not even my child, but I'm feeling so much.
Yeah.
Like, and, you know, I'm constantly like, whenever I see kids running around, again, friends' kids in my home or whatever, I'm like looking for their heads to not bump against the table. Like I find myself even being that way now, so I can't imagine when it's your own child. Like,
you know, one thing is worry for the physical danger or within the moment. But the other worry is also worry whether you're doing your parenting bit right. Worry whether you're giving them, you know, the right tools to go with. And she's so small right now. She's 2. So there's no need for me to be thinking about all of this. But every moment is a learning, right? If I'm trying to impart some sort of life knowledge to her in a specific moment, say she's dealing with an emotion and I need to help her deal with it, because basically what from what I've understood is that this is where they really start like pushing their boundaries and understanding the world. And instead of confining them to specific emotions that this is the way you're supposed to be and this is the way you're not supposed to be, you help them deal with every emotion, you know, specific, because happiness is easy to deal with, but the other ones are not, right? And it starts now. It starts very early. So giving her the tools to deal with these emotions, I need to have those tools myself as well, number one. Number 2, I think this is where my, you know, fast forwarding to the future happens, is that I know I can't be a perfect parent. And from what I understand is I can just be good enough, but I have to be able to be so present and one with her feeling what she's feeling, asserting certain values and behaviors, but also just letting her be, you know? So there's so many of these permutation combinations that I'm just like constantly toying with. So that's one other worry about like just future and life. And then of course there's this physical thing. And then is she eating well and is she sleeping well? And you know, what's going to happen tomorrow and what's going to happen day after? And I'm also a working mom. Again, I have to acknowledge my privilege. I do have a great support system around her, but the worry is not going to leave, you know, like, oh, if I'm away, is somebody going to say something? Is she going to pick up on something that I would not want her to pick up on? All those things. But, you know, you just take each day as it comes and just move forward. So I guess the reason I'm speaking about it is because it's a very real feeling, and it's not something that I've just got figured out since day one. I'm constantly sort of wrapping my head around it on a daily basis. But apart from that, it's joyous.
No, I appreciate you being so honest about it, because I think the worry point, and especially what you raised, this idea that as humans, we judge ourselves so much, but there's probably no role that we judge ourselves in as much as being a parent, because you can almost really see how this innocent, beautiful being is taking on so much of your energy, your words, your behavior, the environment. And I think that almost makes us so mindful and thoughtful, because with our partners, with our parents, we can, you know, we can kind of be a bit lax, and
of course,
sometimes we can say things we don't mean or whatever. But when you're with a child, it's almost like you realize how precious they are, and how those exchanges are. And it's so interesting what you're saying, this idea of self-judgment. And it's fascinating, because I've met people who've said, my parents were always around and gosh, it was really, really hard. And then I meet other people who say, my parents were never around and it was really, really hard. And then you hear, my parents forced me to study this and I don't like them for it. And then someone says, my parents forced me to study this and I love them for it. And it's almost like you kind of look at that and you go, well, how do you win?
You don't, though. That's the thing, because human beings are hard. What we don't realize is our parents are also just what we were discussing, giant babies, you know? So we're all figuring, I know I'm a mother right now, and it's not like I've got it all figured out. And I have, by all figured out, I mean, it's not like, oh, I have all the answers to life, you know, for every particular issue. Most definitely do not. I'm very grateful for the life that we have and the comfort that we enjoy. And I literally am so much more grateful after becoming a mom. It's so surprising how I think what we were talking about, what's surprising. I always found myself to be somebody who had, a decent amount of empathy, but I think the empathetic quotient just truly multiplies once you're a mom, because you picture your child in every situation. So when I look at the struggle and the suffering that there is in the world, it really makes me count my blessings and be so grateful for everything that we have in our lives, because it's hard for people in the world. And it's not, I'm always somebody who likes to believe in the good and the positivity, and I'm always trying to put out, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and it's going to rain because the sun can shine. That's my belief. And you only appreciate the sunshine when these are all great quotes for Instagram, but when it's real life, and you see the suffering and the struggle that some people have to go through, you really have to just take a second and be like, wow, everything's good. Just cut to a wide shot and everything is great. In fact, very often what I do, especially when I'm having a bad day, I have this little balcony at the back of my bedroom, and it's like really small. It's more like a fire exit or something, and I just go and stand there, and I can see because in Bombay, a lot of the buildings, especially where I live, are like very close together. So this might sound a little creepy, but when I go and stand there, I just have like a wide view of activity in different people's homes. Somebody's walking with some clothes, somebody's watching television. I'm not looking into their bedrooms, but it just gives me a sense of life existing whilst yours is. And it just puts a lot of things into perspective, because you're so used to thinking about your life like this, like this is my moment and my this, and then when you just cut and you think about it on a larger scale, all the worry just disappears. And you take a second and you just feel very grateful for where you are in life.
Yeah, I could tell how much that was. Yeah, you look on the verge of tears.
I mean, that's what I'm saying when I talk about it, because that's how much maybe internal worry I have, just as a person, for people in the world, and also for most importantly for my loved ones and for my daughter. But that's how my world has opened up, I think, post being a mom.
Yeah.
Way more aware about the other life that exists as opposed to your own.
Yeah. Have you thought about things you want to do or get involved in to help the communities or people that you're noticing, or things like that?
I mean, I'd rather do and not talk, because sometimes it feels like you're talking to make a point, just to see what a great person I am. I think there's definitely I can be a way nicer person on a daily basis and way more helpful. But I do whatever I can do, and help however I can help, whether it's, for people, for animals, whatever I can do. But of course, I think I'm probably just not even scratching the surface. There's way, way, way more that I can do on a daily basis.
No, I appreciate that. I think all of us can and feel that way.
Yeah.
And you're right, it's better to do and not talk. So I appreciate your humility in that way and keeping it that way. I was thinking about this idea, this concept you brought back from our conversation, which shows that you're a good listener and have a great memory, because the fact that you're recalling our conversation from nearly a year ago now, if not 2 years. Maybe
a year ago.
A year ago now.
Now 2 years. So we're in 2025. Right? Correct. 2 years ago.
Right? It was 2023, no? Or not, maybe 23.
23.
23. And so this big
24.
baby. 24, was it 24? Yeah, maybe
24.
It's 24. Maybe 24. It's 24. But this big baby idea, what parts of yourself do you think you're still babying, or that are still a baby in your own self emotionally?
Oh, I think I still experience, speaking just about movies and cinema, because I think when I watch a movie, I experience it like a child would. I am not measured with my emotions or my responses. In fact, very often if I'm watching whoever I'm watching, whether it's Ranveer or my sister or something, I'm like, what's going to happen now? Why is she doing that? They're like, we did not make the movie, we don't know. But I'm like, I'm just so involved in it, and I just need to know. So I'm chatting through it. So I think in that way,
so Ranveer is like a silent watcher.
Ranveer is, he between the two of us is much better vis-a-vis his cinema knowledge and movies, and he's way more diligent with it. In fact, a lot of my movie watching experiences is shared with him and because of him. Yeah, but like I'm like always, and then he's like, we'll find out. I don't know. Same with my sister. I'm like, Shine, why is this happening? And she's like, I don't know, Alia, I did not make it. So in that sense, I'm very physically involved. So I'm not like an adult watching a movie and all. I'm a child. I think still this would happen to me as a child, as a kid a lot, is that if I'm like exhausted, tired, I would just cry. And not realize why I'm crying. And I'm like, everything is horrible. And my mother would be like, darling, are you tired? Do you need... I said, everything's a bit hard. So that happens to me when I'm tired even now. I'll suddenly like just start weeping about something completely random.
Yeah.
And it happened to me a couple of weeks ago, actually. I was with my friends and I just started crying about something not being right. And they're like, are you okay? And they're like, I'm just tired. Like I not had a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
So that happens to me a lot. I think also curiosity. I don't think my curiosity has left me. I can see that now, as when like with Raha and stuff, she always wants to know, but why doing that? Why is that? Who's that? Who's that person? Like always wants to know everything. I want to know the conversation that's happening across the room between two people that I know, of course. And I'm like watching them speak and, like trying to read and then like lip read what they're saying to each other. And if I couldn't understand bits of it, then I just ask, what happened? What happened? Who said what? You know? So the curiosity is still alive.
Yeah, yeah. Radhi does it with people we don't know. We'll be at a restaurant, she'll be like, let's pretend we know what conversation they're having and let's have it with
I
each
love
other.
doing that.
She loves doing that.
I love doing that.
I'm like, just talk to me, man. Like she's like, no, this is more interesting. Let's do this. I'm like, all right then.
Especially if somebody's having a fight, then you want to overhear even more.
Yeah. She's like, oh, what do you think they're talking about? Let's pretend to have their conversation. And I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. I know nothing about them.
Like, it's okay, whatever, healthy baby, that's all we
yeah,
want.
Of course. Yeah.
And
that is the number one
priority.
Wanted,
yeah.
No, that is the number one priority.
Yeah.
You're right. A healthy child is the most important priority. But there's particular things. And Radhi is one of two girls. So she's kind of she's like okay with that. And so, but you had no preference. You were like kind of like, whatever comes.
Yeah, I was like, just health. That time I was just thinking about like health. Everything goes well, smoothly. But of course, I think she's really, like I said, even for my girl gang, they were like so excited. We're going, we have one girls' trips are now going to be so different. My best friend, one of my best friends is getting married this year, and she's like, are you coming? She's like, yeah. She's like, I don't care if you're coming. I hope Raha's coming. I was like, yeah, Raha's coming.
I love that. What's has Raha already watched any of your movies already?
No, she's too small to like watch a full movie. She's watched multiple songs of mine and Ranveer's, and now we've sort of exposed her to other people's songs as well. But I think now she's got this feeling that everything is our song. In fact, the other day, some song played and I was like, oh, it was like, I think it was a Shah Rukh Khan song from Mohabbatein. And I was like, oh, I was doing some dance step and she's like, Mama, your song? So I was like, no, Mama, Papa's song? So I was like, no, this is Shah Rukh Khan's song.
She's like...
She was not sure.
You've played so many powerful women on screen, so many, and I've always admired you for the choices of roles you've played. I think I said that to you when we first met. What's the one you're excited for her to see? Is there one movie that you think, I can't wait for her to be able to watch this? And obviously at different ages, she'll be able to watch different ones. But
I mean, when she's much older, I'd want her to, and in her own time, watch the films that really sort of shaped me as an actor and the experiences that I learned a lot from. Like, for example, a film like Highway, and a film like Gangubai, or a film like Razi.
I was about to say. Yeah.
But in fact, I recently realized that I don't have many some of them, but like very like child-friendly
Yeah, no,
films.
Definitely. That's why I was saying that.
Yeah.
At a certain age.
Yeah. So in fact, that has made me want to take up a film that is loved by kids, or that is like a kid-friendly film.
Yeah.
It's recently made me want to do that. And I'm on the hunt.
Yeah, because now you're looking at your filmography and going, because she's going to have to be 18 years old to watch one of these.
So I was like, yeah, she can watch a couple of films. I'm not sure how much she'd want to watch, like Gangubai and Highway at this age, or not this age, or even when she's 4 or 5 or 6. I wanted to enjoy films that I like. So I know Brahmastra is a film that kids liked a lot. Like when I meet kids now, they say Brahmastra, or they say like Rocky Rani, and I like your this song. Kids they like songs.
Songs, yeah.
I remember, like, I grew up watching songs. I mean, my memory is more so of music.
Mm-hmm.
And that really leaves a long-lasting impressions. That's one thing that I feel very grateful for, is that I can sing to my daughter. I mean, I'm glad I have a decent voice, because very often, she demands songs out of me, and I'm just like singing, and I'm like, especially when I'm putting her to sleep. So yeah, now I'm on the hunt to do like more kid-friendly.
Yeah. I love that. I could see you doing a voiceover too of an animation or
I'd love
like
that.
Yeah,
I'd love that.
That would be super fun. I could see you do that. What's a role that you played that you see yourself in that most felt like you? Is there a role that you played that feels like you personality-wise?
I don't say this. A lot of the people who love me and who know me say this, and it's going to sound bizarre, but they say I'm Gangu.
No way.
Yeah, they say that that's my alter ego, the personality, the boisterousness, the way she, not her situation, of course, not her circumstances, but the way she, and I think that's also somehow there was like a nice push and pull in playing that part. She was very gangster. She was very, I think that is my alter ego. I don't think that that's the way I am in my real life. But it is definitely the part that I enjoyed depicting the most. In a sort of humorous way, a lot of my friends and people say, "You're Gangu, she's Gangubai," and they say that. But I think there is some truth to that. Only I guess from the essence of the fact that she's a child, but she's got a certain like.
Yeah, she's got some spice.
Yes, exactly.
And some some fieriness. And then what's a character or role that you played that you'd like to borrow some energy from?
So I think at this particular moment, I need some playful, bubbly energy, which is like sort of superficial, if you call it, or frivolous, or it's just like
silly.
Yeah. So I was actually thinking about this the other day, but I feel like I need some of that. So
Rocky Rani had a bit of that.
Rocky Rani had that, but she was also a little like a journalist, a little. So maybe I can take it from Rocky's character, not from Rani so much. But there's this character that I played in Hamdi Sharma Ki Dulhania. Her name is Kavya. I was actually watching a song of that the other day, and I was like, I don't remember who, that girl was at that time, that feeling. Not like I feel like I'm like old or something like that, but there was like a silliness there that I feel that I can do more with, because I think I was pretty silly, and now I've just become a little bit more in control at most times, which I think I can do with some silliness.
I feel like when I met my wife, I was like, I took life very seriously,